Let me remind you, we take the high road at 3 and then at 3:30 at Sons and Daughters. Now it's time for the last in the series of Play It Again, a programme which you originally should have seen on May the 30th. And by the way, it features Victoria Wood.
Hello, and welcome once again to Play It Again. My guest today was born in Prestwich in Lancashire. That's her being given a good cuddle by her big sisters. And this picture, taken when she was 4, well, quite frankly, I don't think she looks all that different today. She's a stand-up comic, a playwright, a songwriter, a television star, an entertainer. With Julie Walters, she was the other half of Wood and Walters. Ladies and gentlemen, will you welcome, please, Victoria Wood. When you were a child, did you go to the pictures a lot?
Yes, we went every week. I'd only go if it was a comedy, though. I didn't only like comedies.
You wouldn't go to anything else?
No, never. I saw Dead Image once with Bette Davis. I didn't follow that very well. And I saw, is there a film called Samson? Samson and Delilah?
Yes.
Samson. I remember going to see that on a Saturday morning and him taking the potion that was going to send him, knock him out, and he was going to have his hair cut off. And everybody in the audience went, "Don't drink it, Samson!" I thought, how stupid, it's only a film.
Who are your heroes?
What, in films? Oh, anybody. Oh, I used to like the Three Stooges, because we used to go to the News Theatre in Manchester.
Yeah, Larry Moe and who was the other one?
I had no idea who they were. I couldn't understand any of it. I just thought they were funny, you know.
Now, I know that one of your heroes is Frank Randall, but I mean, you're far too young ever to have seen him live. So what's the appeal for you of him in films?
I've just seen this one mad film. I don't know if he's ever made any other films. I've just seen this one crazy film. It makes no sense at all. He just takes over and people just stand and let him talk. It seems to be the best thing.
What do you say about this deserter Barnes getting away and stealing the army jeep of which you were in charge?
Oh, yes, sir. Hey?
I said, what about this deserter Barnes who got away and stole the army jeep of which you were in charge?
Oh, yes, very, very bad show, sir. It's very, very difficult because the chap who troubled him back, he must have been daft or something. Quiet, please.
Stand to attention.
Yes, I am.
What are you talking about?
I am at attention. It's my uniform, Mr. Tease. I beg pardon, sir.
I said, what are you talking about?
I don't know, sir. He keeps interrupting you, sir. Be quiet and behave yourself. Will you have a word, mind, sir?
Is this man mad?
Put that away! Mind your own business. I'm talking to the corporal, not you. Sorry, Gaffer.
What about Barnes?
Ah, that's what we all want to know, isn't it?
He's going down very well today as well. He, of course, is a Lancashire comic. Do you think of yourself as a Lancashire comic?
No, I don't really. But I mean, you've got to acknowledge some sort of depth to the place and to the sense of humour.
So, I mean, would you say that your humour is coloured by?
Yeah, I would say that the phraseology and the dialogue and the things like Alan Bennett, the way he uses, his women's dialogue, that's very much particular to the North.
Yeah, you know, Alan Bennett sort of carries scribbles down odd remarks that he hears from people on backs of envelopes. Do you do that sort of thing?
Yes, just been doing it in the dressing room. Yes, I do. I do. Won't tell you who I was writing.
Right, well, let's move on to your second choice, Sing As We Go.
Yeah.
Gracie Fields, why?
I just like Gracie Fields, and I just like the idea that somebody could suddenly become a huge West End star that had just been pootling around the provinces and suddenly came and took London by storm, which I, heartily in agreement with.
Well, here she is, and she's going to solve the unemployment problem single-handed.
Yes.
How did you actually start as a writer-performer?
I started when I was about 20, when I happened to be heard by some BBC producers in a pub where I was working, and they asked me to audition at Pebble Mill in Birmingham, and I got a few jobs before I left university. So by the time I left, I already had an equity card and all that. And then I went on New Faces, and then I was out to work for 3 years.
You won that, didn't you?
I won it, yeah.
So
Didn't do me any good.
But you got a lot of work out of it, didn't you?
I got a lot of television work, dreadful television work. I think I've written topical songs for every bad television programme, you know, from 1974 to 1977. Yeah. And then it dried up, and then I was out of work.
But I mean, before television, you'd really had very little.
Done nothing.
Theatrical experience.
No. Well, I'd done a little bit of acting, amateur acting. I'd not acted at university because they told me I was so hopeless, and so I had very little experience. You know, so whenever I went out on stage, I was hopeless. You know, people used to fall asleep.
But do you feel, in a sense, that television was too soon for you?
Well, it started me off. I mean, I was quite good at television. I just wasn't very good at. I think if I'd done the two things simultaneously, it would have been a lot better for me. It certainly did me no good having my name splashed about very early on.
Well, why not?
Well, because I couldn't live up to people's expectations. I got a lot of bookings because I was a New Faces winner, but I was by no means a Marty Kane or something like that. I've been doing the clubs for 8 years. I couldn't do the jobs.
And there was a period when you were quite young, when you were actually out of work for something like 9 months, weren't you?
Yes, yeah.
After having been a television star.
Yes, I thought I was a star, and then I sat in a bedsitter for long enough to realise I wasn't. Yeah.
But I mean, I mean, did you really feel that you'd come to the end of your career?
Yes, I can remember saying to my boyfriend, "I'm 23. I'm over the hill. I'm finished."
So what got you back? What was the time?
Well, I just suddenly gathered myself together and realised you've got to do it yourself, and I started to write. I wrote a radio sitcom, and then I wrote various sketches. I started to perform live, you know, in very small places, very, you know, not publicised at all, and work my act up.
So that was really. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's really the start of your writing, then. Yes,
I'd written songs before, but I'd not written any longer things than that. I started to write sketches and things.
Now, you said that you like comedies, but in fact, the next choice is not a comedy; it's Brief Encounter. Why have you chosen that?
No, it's not a comedy, but it's very true to life. It's terribly well written. It's terribly well acted. Celia Johnson and Trevor Howard, and it's beautifully directed, and everything fits together.
And of course, written by Noel Coward.
Yes, and it just shows you what a good writer he was, and he wasn't just people in dressing gowns doing one-liners. You know, It was more than that.
Well, because this is in a sense a story of an affair that never was, but it's very sensitively told.
Yes, beautiful.
Arriving at platform 4.
I know that you enjoyed that film particularly, and it's not a comedy. It's a romance, if you like. I mean, a very high-class romance. But I also happen to know that one of your favourite films is Random Harvest, which unfortunately we haven't got. but I mean, that is a real six handkerchief week.
It's really naff, Random Harvest, really, isn't it? But it makes me cry. I cry very easily. See, I like things that make me cry.
But I mean, you say it's naff and you cry, which is kind of putting it and yourself down.
Now, I'm not meaning to put it down. It's terribly sentimental. I mean, it's a real mechanical tearjerker, the way it's plotted and planned.
But are you at heart a romantic?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Really not?
No. I just cry a lot. I may start now. I don't know. It's my contact lenses.
Now, the business of writing, do you actually enjoy the process of writing?
No, I hate it. I hate it to death.
So why do you do it?
Well, I've got to do it. I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell any jokes if I hadn't written them first. I mean, I'm a writer. I can't stop being one, but I don't like it.
But I mean, what's your writing day like? I mean, what do? Do you get up and say, I will start at 9?
Yes, get up, stoke the boiler, have my muesli. I start about 9:30, and at the moment I have to work till about 7 to get finished. Because I've got a very tight schedule.
But do you find excuses for not working?
Not after the first couple of days. Not after I've painted the fridge and picked a few nails out the skirting board. I get stuck in. Yeah.
But I mean, when you have different kinds of work, like, I mean, obviously you write sketches, you write material for yourself and for stand-up work, but you also write plays. Is there basically any difference in the processes?
No, it's all awful. But when you're writing one thing, you think, oh, it'd be much easier to write something else. I wish I was writing a play. It's all difficult.
I also know that you've just finished writing a film, haven't you?
Yeah. I don't care. Do I do anything?
How did that happen?
Somebody rang up and said, "Do you want to write a film?" And I said, "Oh, go on then." I don't know.
But it's not an original subject, is it?
No, it's an adaptation of a book by a new writer called Ursula Bentley. And it's about 3 girls who go from the south to the north, and it's all about people's expectations of the north, and they think it might be romantic, and of course it's not, as I can vouch for, and probably all these people think. Yeah,
well, let's talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but I think we'll take the break now and see you back here in just a few moments.
Okay.
partnership with Julie Walters, Wood and Walters.
Yes, what happened to her? I've not heard of her.
How did that come about? How did that start?
Well, I did meet her when I was 17, very briefly, while I auditioned for a drama school that she was at, but I didn't get in. So a flourishing friendship finished early. I met her again when I was 25 when we worked together in a review about death. It's very jolly. At the Bush Theatre in Shepherd's Bush.
But I mean, how did you come together as a double act?
Well, when I met her and we worked in this review, I thought she was jolly good. I can see now that she's not, but at the time I thought she was good. And I wrote a play for her called Talent, which she couldn't do. I think she was at the laundrette or something. And we did do it on television after it had been on stage, and she got the part then. And we did 3 plays together at Granada. And our producer, Peter Eckersley, he said, oh, well, why don't we do a comedy series? So I said, all right. So we did that.
But when you work with her on those shows, does she in any sense collaborate with you on the writing side?
No, and she barely arrives for the recording, you know. I mean, no, she doesn't. But just the fact that she's so good is your inspiration, because you know you can write whatever you like, and she'll be able to do it with a minimum of fuss and explanation.
Yeah, well, I obviously don't have to ask you why you've chosen Educating Rita.
It's because I like Michael Caine, really.
Well, here they are. A bit of problem with the door.
Come in. For God's sake, come in.
I'm coming in, aren't I? It's that stupid bleeding handle on the door. You want to get it fixed?
Yes, I meant to.
Well, that's no good, is it? Always meaning to. You want to get on with it, because one of these days you'll be shouting, come in, and it'll go on forever, because the poor sod on the other side won't be able to get in, and you won't be able to get out.
And you are?
I'm a what?
Pardon?
What?
And you are? What is your name?
Me first name?
Well, that would at least constitute some sort of start, wouldn't it?
Rita.
Rita. Here we are. Rita. It says here, Mrs. S. White.
Oh, yes, that's S for Susan. That's just my real name. But I'm not a Susan anymore. I changed my name to Rita. You know, after Rita Mae Brown. Rita Mae Brown, who wrote Ruby Fruit Jungle. Have you read it? It's a fantastic book, you know. Do you want to lend it?
Yes. Well, thank you very much.
Okay. And what do they call you around here?
Sir. But you may call me Frank.
What do you do when you've written a script that is supposed to be funny?
Yes.
I'm not being rude. but when you've written a comedy script,
yes.
and somebody at either BBC or ITV reads
yes,
it,
some
and
fool.
they don't, yes, some fool, and they don't laugh.
Yeah.
Do you find that embarrassing?
No, it happens all the time. No, it doesn't bother me at all. I ignore them, really.
You do. So you still have total faith in your own judgment?
Well, whose judgment can I have faith in, you know? I mean, God's not going to pop down and say, cut that on bottom of page 2. So I'd take my own judgment.
No, it's just I think that the comedy writers are particularly vulnerable. I mean, if you write a drama, then it doesn't really matter if you don't make people cry.
Yes, absolutely.
But if you don't make them laugh, and particularly the guy who's
failed.
You know?
Yes. But I worry about that at the audience stage, but I don't worry about what producers think, because they're usually drunk. Aren't they?
What about other women comics? I mean, are there any people that you particularly admire?
Well, there's just so few to choose from. I mean, the Florrie Fords are all gone, and I've not seen any of the musical stars on stage. I only seen bits of film. You can't really judge. But there's certainly not many at the moment I admire, no.
What about some of the new people? I mean, like French and Saunders.
I love French and Saunders. I haven't seen them on stage, unfortunately, because we were both at the Edinburgh Festival. We were on at the same time. But I think they're excellent performers. I've seen them on television.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it's more difficult for women to not to be comics, but to be accepted as comics by audiences?
No, I don't think it's any different. I think that you stand or fall by how good you are, and always have to.
Yes, but there's a kind of prejudice, isn't there, that has to be overcome?
No, I think that's a journalistic myth. I've never noticed any sort of muttering when I've walked on stage, unless they think I'm a man. I don't know, possibly not. No, I don't think there is. I don't think there is a prejudice. No, I think that's just something to write articles about.
Yeah. Anyway, fairly briefly, what what sort of things would you like to do now, apart from writing films?
Carry on with my stage act and write more films and be in them. That's all.
And we'll all be delighted. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Victoria Wood.